Hi everybody, Carolyn Zaff here, and I've just finished at the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association's conference they held in Niagara Falls, and I wanted to do a recap of some of the things that I took away from the conference. So I did a pre-conference workshop with Mike Boni entitled "The Neck, What a Pain," and I did a few breakout sessions the next day with Laura Leslie regarding vertigo, B.P.P.V, and muscle activation technique was another kind of workshop I did. So I just kind of want to discuss some of the points that I took away from each workshop, and any comments that you have, guys, just fill at the bottom. I'd love to hear any feedback from you, and especially if you were there at the conference. I'd love to hear kind of what sessions you took and what you got out of your sessions. So the first one with the pre-conference with Mike Boni on the neck, he did a great overview of the anatomy, both a little bit of the osteoarticular structures, a little neural anatomy, muscle anatomy, which was a great review and overview. And one of the concepts I really enjoyed that he brought in for cervical headaches is the hypomobility. Hypo means lack of mobility, lack of motion within C0, C1, which is a articulation between the base of the skull and your first cervical vertebrae, as well as another articulation that had a little less range between the first vertebrae and the second vertebrae in through the neck. These are kind of the vertebrae that allow you to do flexion extension, a little bit of rotation up here in through the upper joints in the neck. And he quoted one of the studies that had been done on cervical headaches, and they found that this was an area where a lot of range is lost due to either muscular, myofascial trigger points, a lot of maybe scar tissue, even in the articulations, they could either be slightly subluxed or degenerative changes happening at them. So it was kind of a nice review of that. He went through upper limb tension testing, so any patients who are experiencing tingling numbness, radicular pain through their hands or their fingers. He went through that, as well as a little bit of neural flossing that you can do in home programs that you can apply with patients to really help them. Yeah, it was a really good, really kind of good workshop to do. It was the full day, and we reviewed a lot within it. And then the following day with Laura Leslie, I did B.P.P.V. So patients who experience momentary lapses of knowing what's going on, like vertigo. So the room spins around and they get these episodes that could last, 60 seconds. And she reviewed the anatomy of why this happens. So she discussed, for lack of doing a ton of anatomy with you, I'll just kind of cover the basic. So the canals within the ear, you have kind of an anterior and a posterior one that run vertically, and then you have a horizontal one. And little crystals within these canals can dislodge and cause these lapses of dizziness or episodes of vertigo. And she did a great review of how you can really help these patients, so testing, as well as giving them maneuvers to do at home as part of their home program to anytime that they have these episodes, to really kind of get rid of the episode, as well as make sure it doesn't keep reoccurring. The first test she went over was for the vertical canal, the Dick Hall pipe test, and if that was found positive within that patient, then she reviewed the Apley's maneuver to dislodge within that vertical anterior or posterior canal. And then she reviewed horizontal canal roll test to see if there was any crystal that got dislodged and kind of is in that horizontal canal. She showed a test that you can do to confirm that. She said that in majority of the cases, the horizontal canal is not the culprit, it's more the vertical canals. So we reviewed the horizontal one, and she also showed us what was known as, she called it the barbecue roll, which is the maneuver to help dislodge the crystal within the horizontal canal. So that was a great, yeah, it was a really practical workshop. I had done a previous course with Ann Hartley, and it was fun because she was actually in the course with me this time around with Laura as well. And a lot of stuff that I did learn was actually with Anne Hartley, with the B.P.P.V or vertigo workshop she had done a couple months prior to me attending with Laura. So that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that breakout session. Then I did a breakout session, muscle activation technique. And it was pretty much discussing how interfusal fibers within the muscle spindle kind of become not lazy, but kind of not as, they don't fire as well. So they kind of, the muscle is inhibited. So they talked a lot about how to stimulate that muscle to get it, they used a contract relax method. So they contract the muscle that was weak, that inhibited area for about 6 seconds, and they did it 6 times to reestablish that, and for the threshold with that interfusal fiber to kind of reach back up to where its level should be. So it's just kind of a concept. They did discuss that in athletic therapy, we use a book called Muscle Kindle, or Muscle Testing by Kindle. And it discusses about 300 or so muscle tests that you do to certain muscles to see if, you know, if they're affected in any way, shape, or form. And M.A.T was saying that they actually came up with 300 more, which I found kind of interesting. It'd be of interest to maybe look into that further because of that. But the concept itself did seem rather simplistic. And anybody with a manual therapy background, I'm sure could kind of just, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. You know, this is a weakness within that muscle and I need to reestablish it, and off you go. So it's kind of using the inhibition and facilitation. Like sometimes when a muscle is facilitated, whereas there's too much drive to it, maybe there's some scar tissue, whatever's going on, you use kind of like, almost like an ART method. You try to break up that area. This is using a different concept where you're actually trying to activate that area, the weakened area. So, I mean, you know, this is what I took out of it, but I'd love to hear, you know, if you've taken M.A.T testing, if you've taken NKT testing. Actually, I don't know much about NKT testing, and I know it's usually more of the nervous system, so I'd be interested instead of the muscular system. If you've taken ART, so many acronyms. So I'd love to hear any of your feedback on all that. And if you were at the CAT National Conference, I'd love to hear some of the sessions maybe you took, some of the points that you took from them. Yeah, so just kind of share the information. So I hope that was a good video for you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.